beautiful little unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're on my channel, I'm Vanessa and I, and welcome to the fam. So you guys, today's reading is all about the next big changes that are coming up in your life. So in order to help you figure out exactly what those changes are and to prepare you for those changes as well as I possibly can, I have prepared 4 groups that you can choose from. So please pick one of these 4 crystals, whichever one resonates with you. Also, do not feel shy to pick 2 crystals because your personal reading could be a mixture between multiple groups. And yeah, just relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage of your choice, of your liking, and let's move into the groups. So the 4 groups are as follows. We have the Amazonite, we have the Azurite, we have the Aquamarine, as well as the Howlite. But you guys, the timestamps to all the groups are in the description box as well as pinned to the comment section. So as I mentioned, relax, chill, take it all in. We'll be starting off with the first group, which corresponds to the Amazonite. And for all my other gorgeous groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello, group number 1, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Amazonite group number 1, which is such a gorgeous gem. I absolutely love it. So I want to move straight into your reading in order to figure out exactly what big life changes are coming next for you. So first and foremost, we have the North Node. So in the North Node, one thing that I see is you stepping outside of your comfort zone, okay? So getting out of the area where you feel safe, where you feel comfortable. So we're gonna figure out whether you're stepping out of your comfort zone willingly or whether you're kind of being pushed out of your comfort zone and how it's happening. I think that is such an important thing to take into consideration. Some people, you need to push them out of their comfort zone in order for them to improve and change and be okay with trying something new, while others willingly like to get out of their comfort zone. So this is kind of something personal, but let's delve into exactly what case is the matter for you in your big life changes. So we have yin as well as peace. So one thing that I see here is that this is going to be a stepping out of the comfort zone that you kind of welcome, okay? In yin, we have feminine energy, we have energy that is open and willing to create, that is happy to create, and also to receive, okay? So that is one thing that may be kind of new for you and kind of a big change. You may usually be the one that is the giver, the one that is always there for others, and you feel like you're very often left behind or kind of alone, but I see you receiving more, and that being one of the big changes coming towards you in your life. And in peace, I see here that it's not gonna bother you, because usually it kind of bothers you. You don't want to be the one who needs help. You don't want to be the one who just kind of has to rely on other people. You would rather do it yourself than have to rely on others. So I see that this is out of your comfort zone, but you're kind of at peace with it. You're kind of okay with it. So moving out of your comfort zone is not going to happen in a way that like shocks you, that violates your capabilities. It is going to be more of a softer transition. So let's figure out what area of your life that this big change is going to come in. So we have the Queen of Wands as well as the Nine of Cups. So one thing that I see here is that there's a lot of passion and love around. So this could be in your love life, you know, just stepping into a new era. If you're already in a relationship, this could be a completely new sort of part, a completely new kind of, you know, life of your relationship, because a relationship is almost like, you know, a life on its own. It has its own life. It, you know, lives for a certain amount of time. It can live, you know, as long as you live, but it can also have like a shorter lifespan, and it is very unique. Every relationship is different, and I think it's important to just know that passion often comes with, you know, disagreements, but also a lot of moments that are just super amazing. But furthermore, in the Nine of Cups, this leads me to think that if you are single, you know, the possibility is here for you to find love, and that to make a big change within your life in the next few months. So I definitely see that a big change coming for you is also kind of being the one in control and embracing more of that powerful yin feminine energy. So whether you are a guy, a girl, whoever it is that you identify as, I want you to know that we all have masculine energy as well as feminine energy. And you know, sometimes we embrace one energy more than the other, which is fine, but we can also kind of fall out of balance. So I see here that coming back to those yin roots that you might have been neglecting, that, you know, receptive energy, that nurturing energy, the energy that is okay with sometimes just kind of like dreaming and leaning back and relaxing. I see that that is something that is coming as a change to you, group number 1. Then we have the King of Swords, we have the Seven of Wands, as well as the Four of Wands. So we have a lot of wand energy here, which is a kind of suit that corresponds, well, not kind of, it is the suit that corresponds to fire signs. And one thing that I see here is that it could be that a fire sign is entering your life in the love department, or just fire sign energy is what is really kind of igniting that flame that you've been missing. So I want you to know in the King of Swords that if you are single, the kind of person who is coming into your life is going to have very phallic energy, very masculine energy, energy that is ready to take the lead, that likes to kind of be in the center of where the action is happening. And in the Four of Wands, I see that at the same time, there is a certain degree of stability here. So while they do like to take the lead and they're always kind of willing to go on an adventure and be where the action is, they still are very set on having stability and knowing that everything is okay. They don't like to wonder about what they're going to do for their job, what they're going to do in order to earn a living. They like to have that all sorted out. So as a next big life change that I see coming for you in the Seven of Wands, is just kind of like defending yourself in a way, okay? So you could be kind of fending off something physically, so that could be fighting something like a cough, a cold, some type of like flu type of symptoms. But it could also be you fending off something mentally, okay? So these could be negative thoughts that you used to have and you're trying to not let back in, but they're just at the door. They're banging at your door, they're banging at your mental kind of like gateway and trying to get back in. So I definitely see a little bit of you battling these thoughts, these scenarios, and just trying your best to keep them out of your life. It could also be another person trying to enter your life. I see that here in the Nine of Cups, that somebody may try to kind of just slip back into your emotional realms, emotional good side just one more time, and it is up to you to decide whether you want to let them in. Because one thing that I do see here in the Seven of Wands is that you're protecting yourself for a reason. So if it's an ex-friend, an ex-partner that is kind of trying to get back with you, really think twice if you know it is worth maybe risking your peace, if it is worth you kind of like destroying this feminine energy that is ready to finally receive instead of to just be the giver and the one who's holding everything together. It's completely up to you, group number 1. So we have the fixed moon as well as the waxing crescent moon. So one thing that I see here in the waxing crescent moon is, as a big change, you're kind of going to move into more certainty when it comes to your dreams. So you're no more so unsure as to whether your dreams are achievable or not. You don't even look at them as, you know, either achievable or not achievable. You're more kind of just focused on holding your vision and manifesting, and not so much into how you're going to get there, but just visualizing how it feels and then letting your guides and just the universe kind of bring you to that point where you understand what next steps that you need to take. So it's important for you to know, group number 1, that instead of freaking out like how you're gonna do it and freaking out about feeling like maybe you're already a lot older than you thought you would be before you like live your dreams or are successful, don't freak out about that. Know that when you just focus on what it will feel like or what it feels like in your head to already be where you're trying to go, and that is when the universe will kind of like reveal the next steps that you can take in order to get to these desired places and points in your life. Then we have exchanging gifts. as well as no place like home. So I definitely see here in correlation to no place like home, yin, as well as exchanging gifts, that you're going to be able to give and receive, and it's going to be very fairly distributed. So as I said, this reading leads me to feel as though you were always kind of the one who got a little less from people, who was paid a little less attention to, who always received the smaller gifts or no gifts. Meanwhile, you always went all out for other people. You're always the one kind of not expecting anything in return and not receiving anything in return, but giving, you know, just selflessly giving. And one thing that I see here in exchanging gifts is that a very healthy situation in your home life. So this could be with a sibling, with your parents, your grandparents, just somebody who just hits close to home, somebody that you know, is finally just going to show you the way, is finally going to show you like, hey, you don't always need to be the one giving and just saying, okay, if I receive, then great, but I'm used to not ever receiving anything in return. They're going to show you what a healthy dynamic in a relationship is like, whether this is platonic or romantic. It's just important to know that no, it is not normal to always be the one who is providing, who is giving, and who just doesn't receive the same in return, okay? Healthy relationships are a balance of giving and taking, and that is exactly what I see here in exchanging gifts, group number 1. So get excited for this change, get excited for this shift in dynamic that will make you feel more loved, more cared for, and make you feel like this world is a little more fair than it has seemed to be in the past. So group number 1, thank you so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that it resonated with you. If it did, leave a little gift emoji down below in the comment section to let me know, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello group number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Azurite group number 2, which is a stone that has already been used in ancient times for its healing powers, as well as its ability to give things this beautiful blue shade. So I want to move into your reading to figure out exactly what big changes are coming for you. So we have a look at the bigger picture in the full moon in Sagittarius. So one thing that I see here is kind of like a shift in perspective, group number 2. I see that while looking at things from maybe like the victim mode, or just from your point of view with the experiences that you have had, may have worked in the past, it's not working anymore, and you're noticing that. You're noticing that the best way for you to get ahead in life and love, just personally as the human that you are, you have to look at things from a different point of view. So I definitely see you just changing your point of view to the bigger picture, seeing that there is kind of like this collective consciousness here, and that we all can contribute to better vibes in this world, to better vibes in the town that you live in the building you live in, better vibes just overall between yourself and the people that you come in contact with. And then we have the Observer, as well as Clean It Up. So as a change, I see you finally cleaning up a few things in your surroundings that have been sitting around for a long time. So you may have, for instance, like a drawer that you have been avoiding cleaning up. And I see here in, you know, Clean It Up, we have the number 21, and the number 2 is all about duality, you know, so you can't really have kind of like light without darkness, right? So you can't really have a clean space without ever like cleaning it up. Like dirt is going to happen, so you have to clean it up again to make it light. Like darkness will come in if you want to see dirt and disorganization as darkness. So in the number 1, you know, we kind of have taking the lead, being the one who takes action, and that is exactly what I see here in Clean It Up for you. I see you finally saying like, okay, this chair where I've been keeping literally all my clothes, I don't even have anything in my closet anymore, we're doing this today. And in Observer, I see here just like with the change of perspective that we spoke about in the full moon in Sagittarius, and if you are a Sagittarius, this will especially resonate with you. I see here that you're just kind of like changing from speaking up immediately to just kind of like taking a step back and observing and just focusing on people's body language. What are they saying? And then what do they do? You're focusing on people's integrity, because like for instance, if somebody says that they'll pick you up at 7 p.m. and they don't show up at all, then obviously their words don't match their actions whatsoever. So their integrity to you is 0. So this is of course an extreme example, but this can kind of like show you exactly what I mean when we're talking about integrity and you just kind of observing like who has integrity that you feel comfortable with and who kind of lacks a little bit of integrity in your kind of like when it comes to your understanding of what integrity is. Then we have the Queen of Cups as well as Death. So I definitely see here that one of the big changes coming for you is just like the end of where you're at emotionally right now. That is one thing that I see in the Death card. So I see that right now emotionally you're kind of exhausted by who you've been, where you've been, and then the Queen of Cups. I see a renewal, just moving into being a little bit more in charge of how you feel, not allowing other people to really impact you and your emotions, how you feel about yourself, all just because you know that it's not worth it. At the end of the day, you know, there's this saying that goes, when you drink poison and you expect the other person to die. So when you're mad at somebody, when you're harboring those toxic emotions, which would translate into the poison, and you're hoping like the other person is going to feel it, the other person is going to like realize it, and it's just not true, it's just not logical. So either move on and don't allow people to get you to that place where you're drinking the poison, or then bring it up, you know, talk about it, but don't expect people to know how you feel or to care about how you feel if you don't bring it up, because often people are really preoccupied with their own lives, and that is not to be shady or anything. I'm just being honest, and they often forget about you and your needs. And in the Two of Swords, one thing that I see here is just the fact that when it comes to where you're at mentally, that is a bit of a conflict, because on one side you kind of want to just like let people feel it out, let people who you feel did you wrong come back and apologize and realize their wrongdoings on their own without you telling them. But then at the same time you're like, okay, I probably shouldn't say anything, because then it makes me the overly sensitive one again. So that is one thing where I see you kind of like struggling a little bit. But as I said, you're moving into a new era where you're kind of not really, you don't care that much anymore like you used to, but it's still a minor internal conflict. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune as well as the Five of Cups. So I see a lot of changes here in your love life. If you are in a relationship, then it may be that things are a little bit wobbly. The Five of Cups is a card that is a bit strugglesome, okay? So if you're single, then that could be just kind of dating quite a bit, you know, talking to a lot of different people, but not really feeling like anything sticks. That is one thing that I see here in the Five of Cups as well as the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune just continuously like spins, as you know, and the Five is just like, oh no, the Five over here is just like a card of like a bit of a challenging time, a bit of conflict, a bit of like unevenness, okay? So it's important for you to not allow that to discourage you. It's important for you to know that we all go through these kinds of phases. We all go through phases where we fight a lot in relationships. We all go through phases where we date people and just nobody seems to be right, and it's okay. You don't have to feel self-conscious about that. Sometimes these situations can teach us so much about ourselves as well as how to handle things better in the future. So let it be a valuable lesson instead of a change that makes you feel self-conscious or makes you feel like you're doing something wrong, which you're not, group number 2. So then we have a Breathe as well as Chaos and Conflict. So one thing that I see here is, because that feels really chaotic, what we just spoke about in your relationships, I see here that breathing is really increasingly becoming more and more important for you. So just breath work, just taking those really deep breaths and inhaling deep into your belly and just filling your entire lungs with air, doing different kinds of breathing techniques, incorporating that in meditation. I see that that is where you can really stay grounded and rooted. So take this change in a way how you're like delighted to try something new and just learn about this perfect thing that is breathing. You know, there is no breath that is wrong. There is no breath that is not good enough. So allow yourself to just have the same philosophy for yourself. Don't feel like any actions that you take aren't good enough or aren't X, Y, and Z enough. Just be more accepting. And that is one thing that I see here in breath that is kind of going to internalize in a way that it has not had the chance to do in the past for you. Then we have the North Node. So in the North Node, I see here that an upcoming big change is stepping out of this comfort zone that you currently have in correlation to the Death card. I want you to leave a little skull emoji down below if you made it to this part of your reading, group number 2. And also just to kind of symbolize that you're okay with stepping out of your comfort zone. You're okay with going away from where you feel comfortable and it almost feeling like the ending of what you used to know and a new beginning. And don't be afraid, because just think about it. Everything once used to be really difficult. Like everything that was new to you was a struggle to learn, was a struggle to perfect. I mean, even just walking, talking, writing, reading, it all used to be such a struggle until you learned it, and it took a lot of falling down, getting back up, practicing over and over again. So put that same kind of like energy and analogy into other areas of your life. Then last but not least, we have the full moon in Gemini. And in the full moon in Gemini, one thing that I see here is that the answers that you need are coming, okay? A big change for you is that you're no longer going to be hoping and wishing for answers. They're going to be delivered to you, group number 2, on a silver platter. So if you've been wondering about whether somebody likes you or not, whether you're going to be successful in your career, whether you're going to be able to reach your next financial target, the answers are going to be laid before you in a very blunt way. And some of the answers may be really amazing, may make you feel kind of joyful, and some of the answers may be a hard pill to swallow and will kind of make you look at yourself and what you can do in order to have a better outcome the next time around, okay? So I see truth revealing itself. I see as a big change, things not being so foggy anymore and moving into more clarity for you, group number 2. So this is a reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. And group number 2, thank you so much for joining me today. Wherever you are in this world, I hope you're staying safe, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos. Hello, group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Aquamarine, group number 3. So this is a raw aquamarine. It is so gorgeous, but I want to move into your reading to figure out exactly what big changes are coming next for you. So first and foremost, we have the 3rd quarter moon. So one thing that I see here is that there's going to be a lot more adjusting than you thought. So if you're entering a new relationship or in your current relationship, you're going to have to make a lot more amendments to the kind of like dynamic in the relationship, okay? Furthermore, I also see that when it comes to your career, you're going to have to make adjustments that you did not expect, and these things are going to be kind of challenging. They're going to catch you off guard. As I can see here in the 3rd quarter moon, is that you're very close to a point where you feel like it is the next milestone in your life, and often when we're right before that finish line, we feel like quitting. So don't allow yourself to get discouraged, group number 3. There's a reason why you tune into this reading, and it is because you need somebody to lift you up and to tell you to carry on, to stay strong, and to not get discouraged at any challenges that may come up. And then we have the full moon in Aquarius. We have the new moon eclipse, as well as the new moon in Pisces. Okay, so group number 3. In the full moon in Aquarius, one thing that I see here is a big change is you opening up more to the world, okay? So not being afraid to show the world what you're made of, not being afraid to embrace the sides of yourself that are quirky, that are strange, that are weird, that people maybe don't know of, and just being more authentic. And that is one thing that I feel can be really difficult, because in a world where we're bombarded with so so many different moods and aesthetics. It can be really easy to think I'm this aesthetic when you're not really that aesthetic. You think you're that aesthetic and you like that aesthetic, but it's not really you. It's not really who you are, if you know what I mean. And we're also constantly changing and kind of evolving, you know, and this evolution that you go through in life with your personality is not to be neglected. It is okay to go through a phase of being in a certain aesthetic or obsessing over a certain aesthetic and then moving on to something that is maybe more sustainably you. But that doesn't make the step that came previous to that silly or unnecessary, because often we need to go through being in the completely wrong place to know right from wrong, you know, to know that once we're in the right place, that it is indeed the right place, if you get what I mean, group number 3. Then we have the new moon in Pisces. So I see a lot of contemplation. I see a big change. It's kind of like you wanted to be outgoing, you wanted to get out there, you wanted to show certain people, you know, what you think, and so on and so forth, as we have here in the full moon in Aquarius. But I see also a lot of contemplation and meditation on what you want to put out there before you do it, before you actually put any content out. So that could be literal content. Maybe you're, for instance, thinking of starting a YouTube channel, or you're thinking of starting a podcast, writing a book, whatever it is. But I see you thinking a lot harder about what you're putting out this time around than you would have in the past. So you're ready to show the world you're really you, and the big change is that you're stepping out into the world, but you're very well thought out about the longevity of it. So then we have the new moon eclipse. So in the new moon eclipse, I see here that there are a lot of powerful changes coming, and you should expect them, because sometimes when powerful changes happen, we feel so caught off guard that we're like, oh my God, this cannot be true. How is this happening? So both positive and also like challenging things that come up, and I want you to kind of expect the unexpected. So when something comes up, when a big change happens in your life that you did not anticipate, you'll be able to say to yourself, okay, I already knew that something is going to come up that is going to be unlike everyday life, unlike anything I've experienced, and I'm just going to be chill about it. So we have a card that clearly just wants to speak up in your reading, and it is the Knight of Pentacles. So could this be somebody who is romantically interested in you? The Knight of Pentacles is somebody who has a very young, free spirit, so they don't necessarily need to biologically be young, but they're young at heart, and they're hardworking. They're somebody who is determined to get all the luxuries in life that they want, especially material luxuries, and they're very reliable and somebody who you can depend on. Then we have the Nine of Wands. So in the Nine of Wands, I see here that there's kind of, like I was speaking to you about, kind of like this little thing before the finish line, this little challenge. And I see here in the Nine of Wands that it may feel like you have to battle the whole world before you get to the point of success, which might make you feel a little bit anxious. It might make you feel a little lonely, but don't allow those emotions to creep in too much, group number 3, because one thing that I see here is that, as I said, you're close to the finish line, and just expect the powerful changes to come at the right time, but also, you know, don't dismiss your feelings. While you may feel lonely, it doesn't mean that you have to dismiss them. Just don't let those feelings fester. Don't let them eat into your confidence or eat away at your confidence. Then we have the Eight of Wands, as well as the Princess of Swords. So we have super phallic energy. Phallic energy is masculine energy. In the Eight of Wands, I see here that things are getting done. There's no more procrastination, so it could be that you're moving into a new workspace, moving back to work, just kind of like doing something where you can't come up with excuses, because people are going to see whether you did it or not, okay? So I definitely see kind of like pressure to deliver, pressure to make things happen. And in the Princess of Swords, I see you not really being 100% sure how to deal with the pressure. So as a big change, you're going to be trying new things. That is one thing that I see in the Princess of Swords, is the Princess of Swords is open to adventure, open to new ideas. So you may try, for instance, journaling to balance yourself out again. You may try kind of like manifestation, meditation, yoga, all sorts of things in order to get yourself to a place where you don't feel anxious and where you feel like, okay, I got it all under control somehow. And then we have the Thinker. Okay, so group number 3 in the Thinker, I definitely see here that you're thinking really long and hard of changing your life's plan. So before, you may have thought, just as an example, you want to put all of your retirement funds in like a 401k, I think that's what it's called in America, and like kind of like a retirement plan. So this is different for every country. Some countries have retirement plans where like there's a specific amount you have to put in there. Other countries are very different. But one thing that I see here in the Thinker is now you're thinking to yourself, oh, what can I do that's a little bit more rewarding, that has more longevity and more security? Because with kind of like the unknowingness in the world as to where inflation is going, where politics are going, it can be really nerve-wracking to put your entire life's work into somebody else's hands and then just hope that in 50 years or so they're going to give you what you signed for. They're going to be able to support you the way you thought you would be supported after you've worked hard all your life. So in the Thinker, I definitely see you kind of contemplating about whether there's a better way to do things for your future, to make sure that when you're older, you're taken care of and you're not in a situation where you're unhappy or lacking. Then we have Mending. So making those changes as soon as you're sure. That is one thing that I see with the Thinker, as well as mending. Any kind of leaky areas where you feel like you've let a lot of things just drip through. So that could be, for instance, areas in your life where you're spending excess amounts of money. Maybe you have a subscription to something and it keeps kind of like renewing itself and you keep telling yourself you're gonna sort it, but you forget it. So I see you kind of sealing off those leaky areas where you're just letting money flow out of your life and showing the universe that you're prepared for abundance. You're prepared to receive. You're not just going to allow money to flow out of your life unused or just used in a very reckless way that you didn't get any value out of. And then we have Soulmates, as well as To the Sea. So one thing that I see here in Soulmates as well as To the Sea is just kind of like drifting into the arms of your soulmate, group number 3. So if you already feel like you have a soulmate, you can have multiple soulmates in a lifetime. It's just somebody you click with and you don't even need words for, okay? So I see you kind of drifting towards them. If you're single, know that this is an amazing sign that you're going towards that special person, towards somebody that you can understand. You don't need to talk, you can be in complete silence and it doesn't feel uncomfortable. So if you're excited about that, group number 3, leave a little penguin emoji down below, as in these soulmates we have these beautiful little penguins in love, and just get amped up about that, okay? Get excited about it, get fired up, and expect this powerful change. Expect the unexpected also in your emotional life, in your love life. So group number 3, this is the reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you so much for being a part of today's video. Wherever you are in this world, I hope that you're staying safe, and I will see you in one of my upcoming readings. Hello group number 4 and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Howlite group number 4, which is one of my absolute favorite gems. This crystal is so pretty. It just has like this marble aesthetic and I just love it. So nice choice, group number 4. Let's figure out exactly what big life changes are coming for you. So we have the new moon in Aries. So first and foremost, I see here that as a big change, you're going to be taking more action than usual. So maybe you've grown to procrastinate, maybe you've grown into a place where you feel very stagnant or where you know that you're being more stagnant than you should be. But I see here moving into into action. I see like energetic flow happening. And you know, the Aries is just a go-getter. The Aries is first in line and ready to conquer. And that is the kind of energy that I see you emphasizing. And that will come with big changes. It will bring big changes because you're finally doing the things that you need to do in order to just catapult yourself into a new space where you have new opportunities and new abundance coming towards you. Because where you're in right now has kind of been like sucked dry. You know your comfort zone, your area, how much, for instance, financially you're making, what's happening in your love life. So you just gotta kind of move into a space where there's more fruitful things for you, okay? More fruitful opportunities. Then we have the North Node. So the North Node is all about stepping outside of your comfort zone. So taking action will mean to step outside of your comfort zone. So group number 4, if you feel like, oh, this doesn't feel right, distinguish between your intuition telling you it doesn't feel right and you just being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. And I don't mean to call you out, but often we use this doesn't feel right as an excuse because we want to like say to ourselves, I don't really want to do this because I don't know what the outcome will be, or because I might embarrass myself. And that is not your intuition telling you it's a bad idea. That is you, okay? So distinguish the difference there. Make sure that you're not allowing yourself to sabotage your plans. Then we have the waxing crescent moon. So one thing that I see here in the waxing crescent moon is just more faith in your dreams, okay? I see moving more into action, getting more done is going to allow you to have more faith that what you're doing is right. Because maybe growing up, you know, people didn't really expect much to come of you or didn't really feel as though you could achieve very much. But I see the more you believe in yourself, the closer you kind of get to things that you've always desired, okay? So have faith in your dreams and know that that is only going to bring opportunity with itself. Then we have by the book, we have to the sea, as well as mending. So in by the book, one thing that I see here is that kind of following some societal rules is something that you will have to do. And I feel as though it's a little bit like begrudgingly, okay? I see that here into the sea. So going with society's flow, at least for a little bit or for a certain amount of time, is something that you're not really in the mood to do, but you know you're going to have to do. And it is a change because usually when you're not into something or when something is not working for you, you try not to engage in it. But I see here that we're dealing with politics, you know, at your workplace and your career, and you're just going to have to be diplomatic about it. And I see that it's not exactly fun, okay, but it's important because in mending, I see that there's a lot that can come out of you kind of like just accepting that yes, we do live in a society where you're looked at a different way depending on how you're dressed, depending on what's on your resume, depending on what you look like, how you speak, what your body language is. I mean, truth of the matter is we don't just all get a fair chance. Everybody has preconceived notions of what certain people are like, depending on their exterior, depending on how they communicate and articulate, and that is just a truth. And I see that it's bugging you, it's getting on your nerves, but you're just kind of playing along because you know that once you get into that position of power, you're going to change how the game is played. You're going to make sure that this is kind of like a thing of the past, or becomes a thing of the past, the more we move into the future, the more we move into being a bit more open-minded and not already feeling like we know the whole book just because we've seen its cover. So then we have the King of Pentacles as well as the King of Swords, okay? So very authoritative energy. That is one thing that I see here, group number 4. The King of Pentacles is all about bossing up, getting things done in the earthly realms. I mean, just look at the King of Pentacles. I mean, what a snack, honestly. So that is you, group number 4. I see you kind of like just bossing up, knowing what you want, and knowing that sometimes you need to play along in order to get to that place to then make that big change. And the King of Swords, I see you just mentally having a game plan. You know exactly what you're doing, and you know that instant gratification isn't possible with really big things in life, with really big accomplishments. And you're okay with setting off the gratification for later because you know what you're doing and where you're going. So I see a lot of decisiveness coming towards you. Then the King of Cups. What are the odds, group number 4, that out of 78 cards, we have 3 kings, okay? And there are only 4 kings in the entire deck. Your energy is really like go-getter energy. I see a big change coming for you in terms of who you are. I see you not allowing anybody to tell you anything. I see you moving towards the most confident you've ever been and just going out there, getting things done and just making things happen, creating your dream life, okay? The King of Cups is all about emotional like maturity as well as security. I see that, you know, nobody is really able to kind of like play you when it comes to that. You have your emotions under control. You know exactly, you know, when to get emotional and mad and when that is just kind of going to put you in a position where people will act like you're playing the victim. And you're not playing those games anymore, group number 4. You are not. I see that you didn't come to play. You came to serve. You came to do things. You came to boss up. Then we have the Two of Swords. So in the Two of Swords, one thing that I see is just kind of like maybe linking up with another person here to make a game plan. I see that you're not quite by yourself when it comes to this boss up move. I see that it has to do with you just kind of sharing your ideas or getting that idea of how to boss up from somebody else. So it could be somebody that you look up to, somebody whose book that you read, like an autobiography. It could also be a podcast or an interview with somebody that inspires you when it comes to business, when it comes to how they manage life. So I definitely see them having a big impact on this bossing up situation and you just almost being kind of unrecognizable. So if you felt like you were a little bit of a pushover in the past, know that that is just that, a thing of the past. And then we have a time for a nap as well as breathe. So all of this is going to make you tired. All of this doing, all of this go-getter energy. Group number 4, I want you to know that one of the big changes is finding that balance between breathing, meditation, yoga, taking naps, and not feeling guilty, okay? One of the traits that a boss has is that they're not guilty when they take a break. They don't feel guilty. They know that in order to be a leader, a boss, somebody that others can look up to, not only for direction, but also for security, they need to take care of themselves. If they need a nap, they need that nap. If they need to spend a little bit more time doing breathing exercises, doing meditation, then so be it. But they don't allow anybody to tell them what they need and what they don't need. They know and they're not embarrassed. And in this kind of like hustle culture that we live in, it can be really easy to feel unproductive when you're not doing something for like 2 seconds. I mean, who's been there? If you've been there before, leave a little money bag emoji down below, because it's like you always want to be on your grind. You always want to be doing things, and the moment you take a little bit of time to yourself, it can almost feel like you're being lazy, but that's an important task. Taking time to yourself should be seen as work because it is part of that personal development. It is part of making sure that you're giving the world the best of you and not what's left of you or just the rest of you that's there after you've been sucked bone dry, okay? So give yourself that time without feeling in any way guilty. Do that already. We don't need to wait for any changes in order for you to already implement that, group number 4. And know that that's just what a real boss does, because a real boss knows their value. They know that they put in enough work, and they know that they deserve that nap when they need it or when they feel that they need it. So group number 4, this is a reading that I received for you. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me in today's video and today's reading. Wherever you are in this world, I hope that you're staying safe, and I will see you in one of my upcoming videos.